right, let's check on these markets now with Brian Hoops with us right now, Midwest Market Solutions. And Brian, taking a look at the markets here, we're starting off, kind of a mixed market here in the grains right now. We started off kind of lower. Things have kind of crept back up a little bit. What's the story here today?
Yeah, I think we've gotten, dialed in as far as the rains that fell last week and over the weekend. It was, really spotty type rains. If you did live in an area fortunate enough to get some rain showers, you probably got several inches of rain. A lot of producers on some fringe areas outside of Iowa talking maybe just tenths of an inch or 3/10 of an inch, just real spotty and barely enough to keep the crop hanging on. Now the forecast is looking a little bit wetter with above normal precipitation for most of the Corn Belt except for the southern plains. And so that kind of teases the crop and keeps it hanging on here. But again, there is some good chances of rain showers for parts of Iowa again this week. And it seems like they're going to have abundance of rain in the last several weeks across good portions of Iowa. And not every spot, of course, but at least some of these main corn, soybean, key growing areas are getting plenty of moisture. Now, we did receive some positive export news in the form of private export sale announcements of 488,000 beans sold to China and 136,000 to an unknown destination. So that's a supportive feature. Weekly export inspections that came out this morning were supportive for corn. They were 74.2 million bushels, well above last year's 51. So that's going to support that corn market. And wheat and soybeans were not as good as a year ago. So that's a kind of a limiting factor. But crop progress will be out this afternoon. We're looking for a little bit of a downtick in ratings, and monthly census crush report will be out this afternoon. That looks to be a near record for the month of June at about 218 million bushels. Last June, it was 196. So a big crush number there, and tells us that demand for soybeans should remain strong domestically because of strong crush numbers, as well as export business-wise, with China being an aggressive buyer compared to a year ago levels.
Brian, we're seeing these cattle markets again in positive territory. We got some decent gains already here this morning in the cattle.
Yeah, we did. We started off on some strength in here. The cash trade that developed on Friday, it was announced as $2 to $3 better in the southern plains and more of a steady go at 365 on dress basis, but that's up from the 360 we saw a week ago on Monday. So the cash trade by the end of the week certainly firmer than what was expected on Monday, Tuesday, and that stronger cash trade helping us in the futures market today, as well as that outside weekly reversal that the October live cattle futures posted. They made new lows, took out the previous week's lows last Monday when we traded the border announcement news. And then by end of the week, we had rallied and had taken out the previous week's highs. And so that creates that weekly reversal, new lows, and then new highs. And closing at new highs was pretty friendly for the markets. We're seeing some follow-through buying. And I think the main thing is when we had that string of weeks where we were closing 15, 16 consecutive sessions in a row, the funds would sell any type of a small rally. Now with this weekly reversal, the technical strengthening enough tells the funds not to sell these rallies, and that's why we're able to open higher and continue to trade higher this morning.